Welcome, every. Thank you. Oh, it is so loud. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to have you join us today, April 1st, to talk about unlocking opportunities with the Washington Area Community Investment Fund, commonly referred to as WACIF. My name is Kimberly Newman. I am the program director for the SBA Women's Business Center here at WACIF, and I'm so happy to have this conversation today. And we're joined also with William Mitchell.
Hi, I'm
William.
Will Mitchell. I'm your loan business manager here at WACIF, and we're looking forward to share how we can be better partners with you.
So, on today's agenda, there's going to be a lot of conversation that really kind of drills down on lending, access to capital, and wraparound services, which basically is your path to growth. So, a few things that we'll talk about is our mission. WakeUp has a varied mission, a wide reaching mission, a long standing mission. Um, but the main mission is our commitment to strengthening communities through entrepreneurship, access to capital, which William will cover for us, and then how we grow stronger through the wraparound services, like what we offer through programs and the support TA.
And
Next.
so, next steps, we'll get started.
So,
Empowering. Go ahead.
so I guess I'll jump in just to kind of read the top, and then we'll cover anything for our lending. But empowering entrepreneurs through building futures. So, what does that look like in working with traditional institutions? WakeUp as a CDFI, we were built to help dismantle those barriers. And on behalf of the funders that we support or help with fulfillment, we have a fiduciary responsibility to do just that. And we bring in people like William to do that. So, William, if you want to talk about those barriers.
Yes. Those are, barriers that we take for granted. But, traditional funding and financing barriers where sometimes the credit is not up to par or up to the standards that the traditional lenders have. We lower that so that we can give those entrepreneurs an opportunity to get and work up to where they need to be eventually, but still giving them the access to capital. And, as well as just the infrastructure, them being ready, to do other things. So, in terms of resource gaps, um, Kim, you can talk about the resource gaps in terms of those things.
So, historically, entrepreneurs faced many different forms of resource gaps. In today's day and age, those resource gaps have not only widened, but they've also changed their dynamic and impact. And so, one of the things that we do as an organization is keep ourselves knowledgeable and abreast of what those are, and then what sort of needs the entrepreneur would have to overcome them. And so things like Will talked about funding, but guidance and education and technical assistance. We're in the age of AI. So much of the conversation is what is that impact truly going to look like? But not only what it's going to look like, but actually how can you leverage it, right? So how can you lean on it to help it amplify your access and opportunities? And of course, we do that through our own programs and the things that we have acquired through the funding supporters and the expectations that those funding supporters have. But we also do it through our network. So, network. That is the root of success in entrepreneurship. And it's not only needed for you as the entrepreneur, but for the supportive systems that are helping with wraparound. So, WakeGive has a long history of building our relationships with other organizations that help you throughout your journey. Next. So, our mission and vision. Our mission is, and I'll read it for you here just to kind of hopefully amplify the words, which are that we ignite economic advancement and community wealth building by investing in low and moderate income entrepreneurs and underinvested communities. the access to capital isn't a barrier because we work to ensure that every entrepreneur has the chance to build their dream, turn their vision into reality, and create lasting impact. And that's a very important mission because this mission is not on the organizational level, it's on the community level as well as the individual family level. And so taking ownership and agency over the pathway for your family and the opportunity driving for your family is at the forefront of our purpose. Vision and to cultivate inclusive entrepreneurship, fueling thriving communities and driving sustainable growth. So yes, we lend, but it's not a point of sale. It is a investment and partnership. And so not only do you have access to the capital to help you get the cash flow and overhead to run, but then you have the supportive services to continue in a sustainable way.
And could I add something to that? Not only as Kimberly said, we give you capital, but more importantly, we give you information. We arm you with information, financial literacy. The more you know, the more you'll grow. And so, with that in mind, in terms of just understanding how to get capital, how to use it, and how to make it work for you. Those are all the things that comes in our financial literacy that we include in our mission and the hope of the vision for your business to strive.
Yes. So, what are our core values? I'd say our core values, not just as WACIF, but our core values as a community, which includes you. So, impact. Well, we drive meaningful change and that transforms lives and communities. Yes, we empower, we create communities. So, we'll talk a little bit later on about how we do that through our programs like the Hive or our shared co working spaces. But then how we lean into going out into the field and kind of meeting entrepreneurs and business professionals where they are. Our integrity. So not only do we hold our programs in high esteem and make sure that our programs are effective, but in the people that are servicing you. So from the employees on down, we have that historical knowledge, our experience. Many of us are business owners, so we understand the hurdles that can face entrepreneurs. And so we make it our personal mission to look at the programming and apply it as needed by the entrepreneur. And then innovation. Our innovation task force is amazing. And through partnerships, we're expanding the needs in addressing the needs and expanding the services.
So with that, and I was going to say, just to piggyback off of Kim, with the empowerment, we definitely want to help you take the reins of your business. And when it comes to access to capital, when it comes to money, there has to be integrity around it. It has to be trust. Money is also relational. So let me just, share a little bit about fueling the growth of your business. We have four funds that allow us to help you do that, to help your business grow. And we have our term loan, and it's flexibility capital that we use to help your business grow in the operations, it's inventory, it's working capital. Perhaps you need to buy some equipment in order to leverage your business activity to make money. And those loans that we have for this fund is from 10 to $250,000. We also have the Green Fund. Our Green Growth Fund is basically for entrepreneurs advancing, with sustainable practices and operating in that space. And with that fund, in terms of the loan, we also attach a sustainable boost grant, meaning after you get finished paying the loan, we have a grant that comes your way as a reward for, you paying the loan off, just some incentive and also some credit building that we use for you to operate in that space of the sustainable future. Then we have our resilience fund. The resilience funds are for our overcomers. And most, entrepreneurs are overcomers. They have to know how to pivot. They need to be able to survive for the long term. And so, with the resilience fund, it's for those who had some bumps in the road, for those entrepreneurs who've had some bumps in the road. Um, and they've made some quick decisions and may have gotten into some high cost debt that they need to refinance. And and they're facing some barriers that when they go to traditional lenders, be it lack of collateral or because of credit, they've been not able to obtain them. This fund allows you to do that. And the most in this fund for a loan would be 45,000 with a grant that's associated with it. And so, again, it's a way to reward, it's a way to be flexible to meet the needs of our entrepreneurs who have been resilient. Just because you have a failure or whatever, or you make a bad decision, it's a lesson and not a life sentence. And so we are looking to help those individuals, get access to capital to right the ship and move forward. And then we have our microloan program, SBA microloan program. This is for entrepreneurs, small businesses just starting. Capital may not be able to qualify for traditional fundings. And most entrepreneurs have come up against this where they don't actually meet the box to be checked. So we don't have a box. We make the circle because we have those flexibility for those types of funding needs. And these loans amount from 10,000, anywhere from 10 to 50,000. So that's our SBA micro loan program. And so those are our four funds that we use to help businesses grow.
And I'm going to just say something to that before we move on to the next slide, Will, because I think this is the perfect example of how the two sides kind of work together, right? So when we talk about the entrepreneur journey and they're coming in and they've run into a moment where they need to take a look at capital and cash flow, right? And so many people may just go to a bank and or go to a CDFI or just go to the lender and say, this is what I need. So can I get it? Let me apply. But sometimes we need to take a step back and say, in regards to sustaining your business beyond this moment, because, and I love that you said that this is just a moment. So, in sustaining your business beyond this moment, strategically, you have these options for a reason. You want to be able to fit yourself into the bucket or help us fit you into the bucket that is most appropriate with where you are at this stage, and then how you then grow post loan. So, for instance, if we have someone that particularly needs to look at the resilient growth, but they may be going after the term loan because, hey, I need 250,000, my business needs XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But we've had a chance to do intake and say, no, that right now, let's take a step back and maybe let's start with the resilient growth fund because one, that's going to help you in the immediate, but two, it's going to help put you on the pathway of growth to make you more attractive to a lender to pull out better terms once we turn around and get you ready for the term
Absolutely.
loan process.
Absolutely.
That's a future, goal, not necessarily the immediate solution. And so that's where the wraparound services come in to help prepare the picture that you're presenting to lending in totality so that they can place you appropriately and set you up for success.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And I just want to say that is why we have that specific designation as a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. And we are chartered by Congress to be able to serve and provide access to capital to the underserved areas, or those areas that traditional banks will not allow, or not sensitive to the needs of those entrepreneurs. And again, it's not a box that we check. We take the time, as Kim mentioned, to understand where you are and to custom fit our loan products to help you out.
So loan, well, do you want to take that one, loan eligibility? That's
You
definitely
know
your,
what? Sure. You know what? Um, the eligibility and the application process. And as mentioned, of course, we make it easy. We have a website allows you to go on and get a loan inquiry as well as fill out a loan application. And it basically just gives us a high level look in terms of what your loan request would look like and who you are. The intake form takes care of that. And then we also will set you up with an advisor. Kimberly herself, she'll speak with her. We have another colleague that'll speak with you, just to get an understanding, a feel behind, what it is that you're asking for. And I want you to, I want to place emphasis on this. Money means relationships. We are forming a relationship and a partnership with you. So that's why we're getting to know you and understand what it is that you need so that we could adequately fit the solution with the need that you're asking for. We also, you'll submit, the regular or the standard loan documentation that every business should have. We mentioned earlier financial literacy. There's some things that your business should go without saying, financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss, tax returns. Those things should be included, and we want to make sure that you have that information so that we can look at your loan requests on a comprehensive basis. And afterwards, once we get that information, we review it, we bring it to the loan committee for um, an approval to get your loan request. So that's pretty much the process. And it usually takes, we like to do everything together. So 45 to 60 days usually is the turnaround once we get it to fund. Next one. Again, here's the loan. I just mentioned the loan application, the underwriting process. There's a pre-screening with Kimberly, the documentation that we collect. We make that also. We have we have our website, which allows you to, and a portal, which allows you to upload your information securely. We ask for those sensitive documents like the tax returns, financial statements, bank statements. We verify and validate that information to make sure, it is what it says it is, and to understand what it is that you're asking for and your ability to be able to afford the loan that you're asking for. And we evaluate the collateral around it, the accuracies, of your numbers, so that that you're on point as well as we're both on the same page. And then again, we bring it to the loan review. And that loan review also, what comes out of it is also, where we're looking at the company and perhaps there might be ways that we can actually help. I mean, Kimberly mentioned, some entrepreneurs get into a moment, they get high cost debt. Well, you know what? Our loan might be able to refinance that. Not only will we lower your cash flow, but we will, in doing so, allow you to become more profitable. So these are just remedies as a result of us doing the rigorous review and examination of the information that you provided and coaching you for long-term sustainability and not so much putting a burden on you, but giving you the benefit of something that will boost your business. Next one.
We have two questions that are related to this. We have one question that says, do you all have any business line of credit products? If so, will that be covered in the presentation? This is question one.
So we at one time used to, at this time, we do not have a line of credit. We're still working on how we like to represent that product, but at the present time, we do not.
Okay. Second question is, Is it still a 50,000 minimum for eligibility?
Yes. That's one of the eligibility requirements um, to for us to evaluate your loan. We need to definitely see the top line revenue for the ability to be able to repay the loan. So yes, it's still one of our requirements.
And I would say to that, from what we were talking about before, don't wait until that moment. Don't sit in your space working your business and then saying, okay, well, I don't qualify, so I'm not going to reach out until I qualify. Just like Will stated, your banking partner is just that, it's your partner. So pre-loan, you need to be just as engaged with them as the loaning moment, right? So if you were to come to us, myself or my counterparts that kind of help prep you, you may not be ready for the next 6 months, maybe even a year potentially, but you still want to engage the bank. You still want to engage us in your business, have that conversations, tell us what your present position is, because then we have the other piece, which is capital readiness, right? And so the capital readiness is structured, whether it's through us or our partners, the ecosystem, whatever. These are resources that say this particular entrepreneur is either now or in the future going to need capital, so that it is our then fiduciary responsibility to help prepare you for that moment. So when you get to the pre-screening, you pass it with flying colors. Now we're into document collection. You got it ready because we've helped you get it ready. And so now it's just verification and then going into loan review and then underwriting and closing. So engage them as soon as you have started your business plan and you've gotten your business and you've re-reviewed it and said, wait a minute, I'm going to hit a wall at some point where I need some outside investment. Engage us in that moment so that we can take a look and say, how long is it going to take us to get you to that first step?
I'm
And you know,
sorry. Oh,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
just
Yes.
follow up with Kimberly. You're right. So we say we do get to that point of decision, and you know, it's not a no, it's a not now. And that having said that, it brings another load of services that we provide. Eventually, Kimberly will speak to those. But the technical assistance that's involved to getting you where you need to be.
Yeah. There was a day and time where we were on our own. That's not that day anymore. So use the services. Next.
So
Before we move on, there's one more question related to this topic. It says, what is the maximum or the minimum loan anyone can apply for a 501(c)(3)? That's the question. 501(c)(3). So what's the maximum or minimum loan
the
that you can apply?
501(c)(3) is a
Yeah,
for-profit, it's
Nonprofit.
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 So one of the eligibility requirements, we lend to for-profit. We don't necessarily lend to the non-for-profits. Um, there may be some caveat to that with regard to where they have a child care center that may be included, with a church or so, but for, the most part, we don't lend to the nonprofits. In
You want to
ter-
cover this?
sure. In terms of loan terms and rates, our terms, will go, as far as, and we haven't had it go this far to 7 years, but, usually at about 5 years. They can go from 5 years on down to 12 months. But we try to make it flexible so that the ability for the borrower to pay the loan back. We want to set you up for success and not for failure, not cause any more trauma. Access to rates. One of the things that we find our entrepreneurs getting caught in a trap is fast money. They get where, sometimes they go to merchant lenders The merchant lenders will give the money to them just like that. But, unbeknownst to them, that while they got the money, as they're going along, they find themselves the cost of their money that eats into their profits, takes away from the actual use of those funds. And that's where we come in. We basically have our loans to refinance those situations or whatever to help you get a reasonable loan, pay, your debts and be more profitable. In terms of collateral, we understand. We understand sometimes that the collateral may be thin, but that's why we're CDFI again, because we don't check the box like traditional lenders. There are other mitigating strengths that we use in order to make the deal work or make the loan request work. And when it comes to collateral, we're very lenient to be able to work things around to get that deal done when there's insufficient collateral. And so, like again, we do advisory, but our rates, based off of the risk profile that the borrower has, we adjust that accordingly, and we give them loans, and we don't give them trauma.
Yeah. And I love that you said that. We don't give them drama because, I'm going to steer a little bit off script because, I try to keep it, I hate to say it, keep it real. But, this is, we have real world, you know, businesses face real world problems. We don't live in this box where we're the lender and you come to us and you tell us what you need and we figure out how to do it. And if you can't, it's wraparound services. The only way that this process is really going to benefit you is if there's trust. And part of that trust is being transparent. So if there is anything impacting your business that is keeping you from overcoming a hurdle, the partnership is here because you want to tell us and help utilize the resources that we have, whether it's like you said, through the TA, the partnerships, or through lending, to be able to help you get over that hurdle in a sustainable way. But the only way that we can do it in a sustainable way is if we're actually solving the problem. So
Not
trust us
simple.
enough to tell us what the problem is so that we can then help create the solution or advise on a solution.
Great point, Kim.
So great time. But before we transition, were there any other questions that someone had? Because now we're going to dig deep into how we use the services and use the lending to invest in your vision. So is there any other questions that we want to address from the top half of the presentation?
Yes. Someone put in the chat, Lena, I believe a minimum of $10,000 loan amount was mentioned. What is this loan about?
Uh, the loan could be anywhere from our microloan program for working capital purposes, for mobilization funds where you just won a contract and you needed some funds um, to bring people on board so that you can start working on the project with the expectation of eventually them paying, you for the services that you've rendered, but it's specifically in those areas and whatever the borrower is actually need the funds for. But typically, that's what we find those in. There may be some marketing needs, but that's pretty much where they fall in.
Were there any other questions, Tina?
No, that was it. Mhm.
Okay. I wanted to get that out the way because this is where I roll my sleeves up and this is where I get excited. So, strong business model. So, I tell everyone, this is your picture. This is the picture of your vision on paper. So, when you're asking lenders to invest, when you're asking partners to partner, when you're asking anyone to support your business, you have to have a strong business model, but be able to communicate what that business model is. So, things like the market research, doing your business plan, doing your SWOT analysis, which really kind of shows the lender, shows the partner, shows the investor well, yeah, we have these weaknesses, whether it's volatility in the market or it's environmental, but this is how we're going to overcome it because we have these strengths or we have these other opportunities that are going to offset it. So the other thing is your drive, right? There's always going to be a hurdle, but that doesn't mean that that hurdle doesn't have a solution. It's just staying focused on how do we keep it moving forward and bump over those hurdles and keep going. And then a clear financial pathway. So working with partners that can help you get a good snapshot of not only your prior, so what we call same time last year, so looking at the past. So when we say, is this a viable business? We lean heavily on your past performance, right? So did the business perform? Is this idea tractionable? Is there potential for growth? And then we use that information to say, this is now the forecast. So based on past performance, it has shown to be a strong business model with these few plugs of investment or twists and turns. The forecast could potentially be even stronger if we inject capital infusion, resources, expansion, whatever the need is. And then the community catalyst. So, how is the partnerships helping to drive the mission forward? Um, you can go on to the next one, Dina. Oh,
As you're going through there, but just to go back with looking at the projections, the clear financial path. Another thing that we do, as the banker is, we look at your financials. We review that, those for us are eyes and ears of management. And so when you have a business that says this is the direction that you want to go, your finances tell the story, your profit and loss, and the expenses that you incur in order to get there. And we look at that, to understand, is this model or is this business going to the way that they are, have envisioned it to go? And that is some of the advisory or some of the questions that we, deal with you so that you can solidify your direction and where you're going, and as well as, where you're putting your eggs in for your business to grow. So just wanted, to highlight that not only do, we talk you through it, but we walk you through it with the numbers as well. Go
I
ahead.
love that you put that in there. Thank you, Will.
Mhm.
So frequently asked questions. What is a CDFI? I'll let you take that. I have my own way of describing it, but
Sure, sure.
let you be the anchor.
I mentioned earlier, yes, we are chartered by Congress as a financial entity that serves and provides capital to the underserved markets and underserved that the traditional banking system or traditional banks, the big banks, aren't able to do. There's a lot of flexibility in what we do in terms of the rates and the requirements of collateral and structuring. And the good thing is we have the funding behind us to meet the needs and not always the emphasis of the shareholder. So that makes a decision, it makes a big difference when it comes to us and a traditional bank.
Yeah, so when we say who is eligible, so we have a region that we support, which is listed here, which is really kind of like the capital region. So DC, Maryland, Virginia, the county corridors. So anyone within that space, and then you meet the baseline requirements, you're eligible to at least apply, and then we can work with you through the other things that Will talked about in the other slides, and then what documentation we usually give you a checklist. So that's why the pre-app application is important, because again, it's almost like speed dating, right? So you got 5 minutes to the table to put your best foot forward. So a little bit more extensive than an elevator pitch, but this is how you're presenting yourself to see if the other person is interested or wants to invest. That's the same thing once you get past the pre-app. It's saying, well, wait a minute. Your presentation isn't as solid as it should be. So let's do some work and clean it up before we move you into the application and present you to the bank. And then once they get that clear shot, they say, now we just need the proof. Now we need the documentation and all the things. Well,
And it's very important that you have your documentation. I mean, it is like, the baseline core identity of the business, to make sure that when someone looks from the outside that it's legitimate, let alone for bankers or people of whom which you're asking them to lend you money. It is their language in which they speak. They speak in financials, tax returns, are you reporting your business activities with profit and loss in the balance sheet? Do you know what you own? Do you know your net worth of your company? And through that, we're able to kind of surmise the type of business owner that you are as a result of your upkeep of these important documentations. And
and that's important. Oh, good.
uh, go ahead. I was going
No,
to.
I was going to say that's important because how long, I get that question all the time. How long does the loan process take? Well, on paper, if you have all your documents, 3 to 6 weeks. But it really depends on you. So if Will is in the process of, requesting documents, but something doesn't look right or on par, and we request it, and you don't get it back for another month, then now we've extended out the process a little bit longer. So again, that's why it's important to try your best to come as ready as possible, because then that will help him meet that expectation of a 3 to 6 week turnaround.
Excuse me. And so with regard to typical interest rates, it says, what are your typical interest? Again, our rates are competitive, but our rates are based off of the risk profile. And, you know, we, when there is opportunity, um, for us to help you with getting the financing that you need in terms of a loan and ability to pay it back, we try to make sure that those terms are flexible to set you up for success and not for failure. Again, we want to give you a loan, but we don't want to burden you with even extra trauma. And then even as when it comes to, the amount, you may say, excuse me, you need 250,000. That's nice to have, but you may really only need 100,000. And so again, we try to make sure that the rates, terms, amounts is going to based off of what you present to us best suits you, and we try to do it in a custom way to help your business go to the next level. When it comes to collaterals on a case by case basis. Again, we try to make sure a lot of times when requests come to us, they come and the collateral may not be as sufficient, but we have programs and we have other mitigating factors that we look at, in terms of being able to say, you know what? This deserves a chance to be able to make it because they have a strong guarantor, or they have some equity in the home, but they have a great business plan, and the projected revenues look like they will definitely surpass or meet what they're projecting. Those are things that come in. Again, we're not the institution that checks the box, that if you don't have them, that you go. No, we make a circle and make it custom so that we can try to make things work for you. And again, if we say no, it's not no, it's just not now, so that we can get you to where you need to be.
I love that. Next. So programmatic services. So that's what kind of falls under the wraparound. So whether it is pre-loan or post-loan or throughout the lending process, you have access to a myriad of services. So there is nothing that you can't reach out to discuss. Sometimes it is because of a life change or a income change or um, a devastating interruption. Um, Call and have that conversation so that we can take a look at, okay, well, here's a place that we can work with the business and be able to get them over this moment and back on track. And so one of the ways we do it is through one-on-one advisory. So that's your opportunity to actually sit down and have someone work with you doing a deep dive into your business and all of the assets that you have and see, okay, these are the gaps. Here are some of the gaps that you're going to need to shore up, that we need to take a look at closing before we move you to the next stage in your business. You won't be able to successfully or sustainably overcome this hurdle. A lot, like you said before, a lot of people band-aid, and what happens is those band-aids fall off at some point, and we don't want to keep you in the cycle of just repeating the same behavior. We want to keep the business moving forward and hopefully upward. And so that one-on-one advisory is super essential and extremely beneficial. But transparency is of the utmost importance during that time, and it's in all areas from financial to business development, strategy, scaling, marketing, overcoming tariffs, helping with contracting and certifications. Our training schedule is jam packed every month with any portion of the conversation that you're needing participate. But then you also have access to then sit down with a subject matter expert that says, okay, now how does this conversation impact your business? And that's the workshops and webinars. The business cohorts. So sometimes you're not the only one who's dealing with the same conversation, right? So whether it's retail, whether it is certifications, we have Certified Up, we have the Accelerator, the Ascend camps. These are all opportunities for you to not just lean on the organization on WACIF to be able to provide the information, but also leaning on each other. So you're walking along with other businesses that are in a similar, if not the exact same stage, and you actually honestly get more learning sometimes from them and the hurdles that they're facing in their business and whatever solutions they were able to get that can then impact and help your business.
Can I just add to this because it's powerful for what you've just said. Entrepreneurs, um, when I think about it, they wear many hats. But if you think about a corporation, they have a board, and on that board they have very much subject matter experts in different areas. A lawyer, they may have an accounting firm, they may have insurance people or marketing specialists on their board. And you as an entrepreneur may not have all of those different, you don't have a board of directors, but with WakeIf, we allow you to leverage the relationships of the various subject matter experts that we have in these various areas that could help your business and allow you to do the things that you do it well, but then have leverage relationships where you can get the information to help your business grow the way the big companies grow as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Will. And I think the thing that I love about, I guess maybe I'm biased. I say I love about WakeUp. I love about WakeUp is because it's not that we built programs that, these are conversations that they're having. So let's build a program and make sure that it's available. No, it's very intentional. This picture right here is so poignant because, here we have Rasul, business owner, the director of our education programs. So when he's building these programs, he's injecting his experiences, his knowledge base, and the scope of what he has seen into, okay, this is how we meet them where they are. This is where we are seeing, this is where I have experienced that these are the areas of the sources of contention. And we need to be able to find a solution. So Certified Up, certifications is an amazing opportunity for small businesses to get competitive and to enter into a level of business that they may not innately just get, right? Small businesses don't have the competitive edge when we are talking about going up against corporations. So being certified is one of those ways to get that leverage, right? And to be able to be somewhat, competitive. The Ascend, we talked about that before. The Pivot Project, we have a lot of people who are changing their careers at this moment. And so how are they going to do it sustainably or successfully. And so, talking to those people who have come before you, who have led that pathway, and then these are the things that the hiccups that you want to avoid. These programs are built to be able to identify them before you even know they exist, and then prepare you for a solution before you even get there.
Nice. And so, in a nutshell, you're able to leverage the business acumen of various entrepreneurs and those who are basically providers in those areas of expertise to use to your advantage to help your business grow and to help you thrive.
We talked a little about this at the top of the hour. Anacostia Arts Center. I mean, biased again. That's one of my favorite spaces. Anacostia Arts Center. It's currently down, being revamped, and it's going to return in its magnificence. But the Anacostia Arts Center is kind of like a creative epicenter. It is a place that allows businesses as well as WACIF to really showcase what it is that we're doing in a visual way. So, in that space located in Southeast DC, Ward 8, we have a lot of programs there. So, a lot of our trainings, a lot of our thought leadership and symposiums and conferences take place in the Arts Center. So, it's a way that really represents our community and connects all of the communities that we partner and support. And then the Hive. The Hive is a co-working space. So I talked about it before with our SEND program, how you have the luxury to sit amongst other business owners and not only learn from the instructors and the subject matter experts that work with WACIF, but also learn from each other and partner with each other and network with each other. And that is exactly what the Hive is. It's a co-working space that provides you the ability to have an address for your business, a formal address, but also the address in a hub zone. So for certifications, it's extremely beneficial, but also to sit amongst other business owners from pre-venture to large to scaling to full-on corporations and find the commonality, whether it's through partnering and opportunity driving, or it's just information sharing. And then the Office of Women's Initiatives. So, Office of Women Initiatives is a great department that really covers a lot of the specific dynamics that impact women owned businesses. So, one, making sure that you have, again, the certifications that will help you be competitive in the space with opportunities, but also the hurdles that a lot of women owned businesses specifically face. So, it's a way to advocate, so on the higher level outside of WACF, but within policy, but also to drive partnerships that are going to lend and support, and then create programming that's going to create the foundation. And then I'll just add a second box of the Women's Business Center. So thankfully, with the Women's Business Center, it provided a space, and I think you talked about it earlier, Will, for that pre-engagement, pre-lending requirement of 50,000 and certain, successes in business. With the Women's Business Center, it allowed us a space to be able to reach to the more pre-venture, pre-vision stage entrepreneur who hasn't quite yet decided what pathway, or maybe they have and just haven't formalized it. So it allows us to say, we know all the resources that are here. We have all the resources that are here. So we want to go ahead and meet you where you are currently and get you ready to take advantage of them. And that's exactly what we do in the Women's Business Center.
Can I just add, with all of what you've just now said, just makes for just a great incubation center for those to get up on their feet and then start walking, until it's time for them to run and get on the runway and lift off. So you have it right there. I mean, great nurturing environment. Mhm.
We're super excited to do it. And some of the events, I mean, Cultivate Summit, whoever was not in attendance, we had a time was had. Let me tell you, the conversation and the thought leadership was amazing. To hear from leaders in the industry that are watching, right? They're watching the tone, they're watching the temperament, and then they have a discussion about the state. So the state of the ecosystem session was very profound. We're in a climate where things are kind of in flux, and so some stability within entrepreneurship is a bit subjective, right? And really subjective in how you look at it. And so the state of the ecosystem really gave you a full round view of different ways to look at where we are today and then apply it to your business and figure out a way to leverage and still create opportunities. So, amazing conversation. We had the marketplace. That's where we bring in some of the partners that we partner with so that they too, because we're only as powerful as our circle, right? And so to bring them all together to show that you have multiple people on base, you have a team. And then we have Fusion Festival. So we talked about the Anacostia Arts Center being the epicenter of creativity. Fusion Festival is the representation of that. So it celebrates the spirit in a creative way, in an innovative way, and the visuals and optics are beautiful. So if there's no way to get or keep encouragement about your journey other than attending these events, I can't tell you any other way. Well,
Allows you to stay involved and get involved. These are hand ups and not handouts. The more you know, the more you grow. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to get with the collective. You're as strong with the collective as you are than being by yourself. So get plugged in so that you can, get the energy to move up.
I'm so happy that you said that, especially right now. We talk and we talk about right now because throughout life there's always moments of change, right? When you go through moments of change, it may not match exactly with your business or your business model or even the way that you forecasted the direction that your business would go. And so, dare I say, it may cause you to have to pivot. And through networking and partnership is the best way to set your business up for a successful pivot because you may not pivot in something that is directly obvious for your business. You may have to go through the workaround. The only way that you'll figure out if it's a fit is through conversation. So if you're in the room, the more you know, the more you grow, the more you meet, and the more you partner is where you find that continuity of opportunity and driving sales into your pipeline. So the real impact of entrepreneur success, and I'll just read one of these, well, if you want to take one, but WakeUp didn't just give us a loan, they gave us a lifeline.
Hmm?
I don't even need to read any more off of that. That right there, that statement says it all.
It's now read the next one. It says, as a first-time entrepreneur, the capital of ongoing support from WakeIF were invaluable. Again, we didn't just give you a loan. We gave you a relationship or a license for a partnership that we will go and have throughout the life of your loan, as well as the life of your business, should you choose to participate with us. We're friends, we're partners. That's what we are. We're financial partners, and we look to grow the partnership.
I'm gonna say, Dana, can you go back for a second? Because I do want to say a statement off of that last comment. We were struggling to secure funding from traditional banks, but WakeUp believed in our vision, providing the capital to open our second location and bring wellness services to more people. That first sentence saying we were struggling, but they believed in our vision. So everything that we have talked about in this whole hour is stress the importance of being able to communicate, being able to identify and capture in a statement, and then showcase your vision. That is how you're going to get the buy-in. That's how you're going to get the partnership. That's how you're going to get the support. So using the wraparound services to put on paper and on print to extract what you know up here and in here and on paper, get all the assets that are needed to surround and support it, say that this is profitable because in my heart, I know it is. In my mind, I know it is. But Will needs to see that it is. And once you get him to see, then this is how he can forecast this can continue and I want to be a part of it. I want to be a partner with it. So that's how we lend.
Couldn't have said it better.
Ready to get
We have
started?
2 minutes left, so just wanted to let you all know.
Are there any questions that we haven't covered?
No, there are no questions in the chat, but if anyone has a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat. We do have 3 more minutes, so yeah.
Well, I will say while we're waiting, this has been amazingly fun. I absolutely love the work that we do and to see people come into our space and how we're able to support them. But then to see once they've gone post engagement and see how their business has thrived. The thing I love is once they meet that part, that then becomes the reinvestment opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're not looking at them as a client, we're not looking them as a lendee, we're not looking at them as a possible viable vendor. So now we start talking about, well, how can we utilize the services? You too now become a subject matter
Oh
expert
yeah,
on your
yeah,
experience
yeah.
and can share it with the wider community and maybe even partner now with the business that help support your business.
It's a powerful circle. Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. And
Mhm.
it's fulfilling in that we're able to see the direct impact that we have on the entrepreneurs to see their businesses grow and thrive, and for them to establish generational wealth and legacy for their families, as well as what their own career aspirations were to achieve. So, um, definitely rewarding.
We do
Well, this
have
is fun.
one question, sorry, saying, hi, I wanted to ask if there is any resources we can get when it comes to legal support to provide more information about small online businesses when it comes to DC law.
Absolutely. So the first thing we would say, and I don't know if it is under the QR code or here, but the first thing you want to do is reach out. So all of the areas, and that's why we call it wraparound services, because your business doesn't just need one category. Your business needs all of them in order to flow effectively, which includes legal. So yes, when you walk into our ecosystem, do the intake, be transparent, tell us what you need so we can then pull in those partners, consultants, or wherever we have access to then say, this is the solution. Now let's match you up and get that done so we can quickly get over this hurdle and keep you going and moving forward. So, yes, absolutely. Start first with the outreach. Just take the first step and we'll help you from there.
Yep.
And before we end the webinar, I just wanted to say that I've put in the chat our link to our website, to our lending page, and a link to our events page as well, and a link to our upcoming capital readiness workshop, which is taking place on April 23rd. So if you would like to join us, please go ahead and click on that link so you can register. But yeah, I'll leave it to you, Kim and Will, to end the webinar if you want to mention any last thing before.
No, I think I have talked enough. I'm ready to get the work done. Please
Yeah.
feel free to reach out to me. My name is Kimberly Newman with the SBA Women's Business Center here at WACIF. And we again we have a whole team of professionals that can assist you with your business. So all you need to do is just take the first step and reach out.
And my name is Will Mitchell, and I'm with the lending team, and we'd be more than happy to uh, field your loan inquiry and help you with your business online. We have the links, so feel free to use them, and we wish you all the best.
Just real quick for Kelly, go on the website and there's a get in touch button. My email can be put in the chat as well as
Yes.
Will's, but we have a whole team. So let's just find out what you need and we will definitely match you with the right person.
And, oh.
All right, guys, this is it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we
Thank
look forward to working with you in the future.
Take care now.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good day.